Hey guys, it's Mike Joseph here with Visual Media Marketing, number one agency for barbershops. On this call, I have Donnie Joseph with me, founder of South Dakota Barber College, and he also owns Central City Barber Shop out in California. Donnie, could you introduce yourself real quick?
Hey, what's up? I'm Donnie. Like you said, have a school here in South Dakota, as well as a shop back home. I've known Mike for a while. We have worked together and also collaborated on quite a few projects. Wanted to get together with you, Mike. Like I mentioned earlier, we've been receiving a ton of calls and emails from various people in the industry, especially here in South Dakota, specifically the Barbers Association, few salons and barbershops, really not knowing what to do right now. I think for all of us, we're on a new path, right? A new normal. And nobody really has answers. So, I wanted to get with you, chat, see what we can come up with, and hopefully we can provide some insight to some of these professionals that maybe need a little bit of help.
What I want to ask you is, if you own a shop out in California,
yeah.
So how is this affecting you guys, and what are you guys doing different, or what's really the game plan for you guys?
That's a great question. So obviously, we were actually forced to close. Right.
Okay.
They have a task force in our city back home that is cracking down on shops that are cutting hair on the side or, still working. So we've been closed since mid-March, and initially it was kind of a shock, right? We didn't really think that it was going to happen. We didn't know what to expect, but once it came back that, yeah, you have to close, kind of was a wake-up call, right? And so with that downtime, it actually allowed us to really look at what we were doing. And one of the things that we came up with for our staff was we wanted to make sure that our safety and infection control procedures were where they should be, right? So we are already really big on that. We have some processes in place which we use to clean our tools, how we disinfect our shop. But one of the things that I had talked with our team about was Barbicide, right? Barbicide has a free certification process online. So it takes about an hour. You go through, you can read some of the material that suggests various cleaning procedures, defines the difference between cleaning and disinfecting. So that was one of the things that we did, but more specifically, we started looking at how are we going to open back up so that our customers felt safe, right? Yeah. So first thing we looked at was, let's go in and clean our shop. Very deep cleaning, okay? Let's remove some of the stuff that we no longer need, maybe some stuff laying around. And let's make sure that when we open back up, there's really no systems that aren't dialed in for our customers. So when they walk in there, I could be like, well, hey, why is that comb sitting there? Or I noticed that guy's using the same towel for this, and he also used it on this customer, right? Guys are going to be more aware when they go back in the shop. People are going to be looking a little different, right? It's like,
I'm thinking, people, are people still going to give handshakes if this lasts a lot longer? People are going to go to job interviews and just say, hi, how are you, sir? And that's it, It's not
and that's the thing, like, barbering is so personal, right? It's very, very close, and you get to know the guy, and, maybe, you're talking and whatever. That all changes, right? Because now people are more aware of, okay, did I just hear this guy do this? Or
man.
Just think about when you go to the grocery store and you're walking down that aisle. Are you holding your breath when you walk past somebody? You know what I mean? And so now we are like subconsciously changing the way we interact socially, and that's going to have a direct spillover into the barbershop.
So
right?
so what do you think? What do you think you're going to do to make any of your customers feel safe?
So for me, it's really about transparency. Right? I want them to know what our processes are. I want them to know that one, we're taking it very serious, right? I want them to know that their safety is just as important to us as ours, right? So I want them to see how we clean our tools, right? I want to see all that stuff on the back bar. I want to see clean barbicide containers. I want to see multiple things that they're going to be able to visually see and like, wow, this guy's really on top of it, right? Where maybe before we use the same chair over and over and over. Well, now maybe I want to see us rotate chairs so that one chair can be disinfected while you're working in the other chair.
Yeah.
Those guys are going to see that.
Now that you mentioned it, and a lot of people are wondering, like, will the culture of the shop change? As in, right?
Yeah.
Some shops are talking about going to appointment only. Like, I know you guys are really known for a walk-in shop. And I'll be honest, I think your shop, out of a lot that I consult with, is one of the most, I'll put you guys definitely at the top. Because a lot of walk-in shops, they just don't have it together because they're following too much of the old school. But I feel like you guys have definitely been able to make it so it's a lot more modern.
Correct.
And customers really like that, which to me, like I said, I was surprised the whole time. You know, when you said, hey, walk-ins, the people rather walk in.
Yeah.
But to kind of, to help.
So
what do you
man,
think?
and you know, to be honest, Mike, like that's probably my biggest concern, right? Because we have done so well with walk-in traffic, right? Now, obviously we also implemented appointments recently, and we've utilized that, but we're pretty much known for the culture that we've created in our barbershop, right? Guys could come in, sit on the bench. Maybe they're somebody that their kid plays Little League with shows up. They're sitting there chatting. They're having a good time. We're moving through our customers. It's not uncommon to see 10 to 12 people sitting on the bench, not worried about anything, right?
Yeah.
But now when we look at social distancing and being more aware of social interaction, are 12 people going to want to sit on the bench, or are they going to walk in and be like, man, this place isn't safe, I'm out of here?
Yeah.
Right. So those are valid things that I think about. And so one of like sort of what I've been processing is like, okay, how do we come up with new systems for our customers to feel safe, right? Do we have to do some sort of sign-in sheet that allows people to trickle in one by one, or do we resort only to appointments? This is the unknown waters that we're in right now, and you know, I think not only our shop back home, but probably many of the people that you work with, or that are even watching this video, are probably having those same concerns, you know?
Yeah.
And if they're not, they should be thinking about those things, you know?
Yeah, 100%. Like, I think right now, especially because it might be another couple of weeks, it might be a month or so, but we definitely got to think about it because the world is changing.
Correct.
It definitely is. We see it in the workplace now. Like a lot more people are going to be able to work from home after this. And
well, I was going to say, to add to that, everything's evolving, and it constantly is. And you know, I can just say, even from my own personal experience, it took me a while to even realize that in the industry, right? Where maybe I was so set in certain things that I did, or certain practices, that I wasn't willing to adapt. But by not adapting, I get left behind, right? And so now more than ever, we're seeing people adapt. Look at gyms. What are they doing?
yeah,
They can't offer in service like a CrossFit gym, right? Which is really known for their community. Not all like that. They can no longer do in-class workouts. So you see them doing Zoom workouts. They adjusted, right? And it's like, wow, like, man, you're seeing it in real time. And from the micro, it's easy to miss. When you zoom out and look at it, you can see how big of a deal it really is, you know? And I think, again, back to the discussion, is that right now we're in such a critical time because things are going to change, right? Things are changing, and some guys are going to adapt, and some guys are going to come out ahead, and some people are probably going to get left behind, you know?
Yeah, it's just the nature of the beast, you know? It really is.
Here's the good thing, Mike, right? So for the most part, everybody's sitting at home, right? So let's just assume that the people that are watching our conversation are other barbershop business owners? I don't know. Would you say predominantly owners of their
Yeah,
business?
you're gonna get a lot of barbers too. A lot of barbers
Oh,
too.
a lot of barbers.
A lot of
Okay.
barbers and a lot of shop owners. So it's like
Yeah.
a good 50-50.
So, well, let's just say in general, right?
Mhm,
You're not working right now. So you're at home, you have
mhm.
extra time on your hands. To me, that's like the perfect opportunity to start looking and strategizing and figuring out how to come out of this ahead, right?
Mhm.
Like I'm not sitting back waiting for my $600 or whatever. I haven't even applied for I am entitled to it, but
Yeah.
I haven't even had time to apply for it because I've been so busy focusing on what my next move is going to be.
Yeah.
And rather than looking at this situation and how um how it's disrupted all of what we've known. Well, okay,
Mhm.
good, that happened. Now how am I going to pivot out of it? How am I going to
Exactly.
use this and turn this lemon into lemonade, right?
Exactly. Yep. Exactly, man. Yeah. So one thing that I think about too is a lot of shops, like a lot of them aren't on social media to begin with. So
Correct.
when this happened, let me take a step back, right? A lot of people, a lot of barbershops didn't even have like the contact information saved for their customers. Like some of
Correct.
them would text their customers, don't have um any of these booking softwares or like Square, any of these
Yeah.
POS systems that would keep or their contact information.
Correct.
So for me, I'm looking at it from a point of if you're a shop and okay, let's say you're not doing any digital advertising,
Hmm.
you've been doing it the traditional way. But if your only way to communicate with your customer or to get in contact with them was via text from your phone and that was it, like you're
Hmm.
going to lose a lot of their attention because
Yeah.
what I think a lot of people are missing out on is branding. Because I think out of
Correct.
once all this blows over, I think that's going to be huge for everybody. Like those are
Yeah.
going to be the shops that are definitely going to be remembered after all this. Because at this time, everybody's consuming content and they're getting slammed with all this people on social media. So like if one shop is marketing themselves the right way, you're gonna lose your customer.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, and I think to even add to that too is like our customers or the people that are out there, they're actually craving some sort of leadership, right? They're
Yeah.
looking for somebody to tell them like, hey, this is what we're going to do, or this is how we plan to overcome or
Mhm.
build out from here. And so like and this goes back to why I even started this conversation is so I've had a few barbers from here in South Dakota.
Mhm.
Obviously, it's a little different than being located in New York or like my
Yeah.
shop back home. It's a
Mhm.
little more rural in certain areas, but nevertheless, they don't really know, maybe like let's say an older barber that doesn't have or isn't as well versed with social media or even marketing or networking, right? They're just doing the traditional flip the sign, guys come in, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And what do those guys do, right? Because they're affected just as much as every other barber. And
Yeah.
I think that the more we can have these kinds of conversations
Mhm.
and maybe piggyback on different ideas,
Yeah.
that's how resolution starts coming up, right?
Yeah, man. I think especially if you're a barber and you're watching this and let's just say for the past 5 years you haven't been on your social media or a website, like
Yeah.
majority of these things are free. To create a Facebook account, an Instagram account, 100% free. If you
Yeah.
wanted to create a website, you can create a free website on Google's website builder platform, and you can do it in less than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not the best looking web. It's a
Yeah.
generic website, but it at least lets people know you're there. Because one thing too, for even those who are on social media, I'm a big I'm a big believer in collecting the contact information of your customers. And the
Correct.
main reason for that is because we don't own Facebook, we don't own Instagram.
Yeah.
Your website can
So
crash
So
if
what
you.
about this? So like,
Mhm.
and this is just an idea that I think
Yeah.
that would actually add some value, right? So let's go back
Mhm.
to this primitive barber that
Yeah.
isn't really utilizing social
Yeah.
media and all these things.
Hmm.
What about if when things open back up, they have a sign out on
Hmm.
their door, or even every barbershop, right? That maybe you haven't been collecting the information with every haircut. Like for
Yeah.
us, we have our MailChimp account set up on
Hmm.
our iPad. We ring out a customer, get their email address, boom, it generates right to our email database.
Nice.
But I'm looking at it like this now. Okay, now we're doing sign-in sheets
Mm-hmm.
because we can only have one customer at a time. So, hey, Joe comes in for a haircut, signs up on his thing. He puts his name, his email address, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he lists, some personal information
Like a
based on.
birthday or something. Yeah. People do.
Yeah. And maybe that's going to be the new norm anyways. Maybe in order to get to these new phases that they're talking
Mm-hmm.
about, maybe we have to identify where this person's traveled, whether or
Yeah.
not they've been sick in the last week. These may all be real things that we need to have in place when somebody comes
Mm-hmm.
into our shop, right?
Yeah.
Because if something comes up, well, how
Mm-hmm.
do they track it? Well, they can go back.
Exactly.
Oh, we visited, Joe's or Dave's barbershop and 15 people got sick. Well, you can go through your list and identify and protect yourself a little bit more. Like, hey, listen, I'm actually doing these set things to
Mm-hmm.
protect our customers. Unfortunately, something happened, but now we can isolate and
Yeah.
prevent. But actually, before I forget, I had a question.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's say my shop, for example,
Mm-hmm.
we're shut down. We're not
Mm-hmm.
working.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously we have people reaching out to us for haircuts,
Mm-hmm.
but like, how do I take advantage of this downtime, or should I even be advertising right now? Right? Like I'm a little scared to advertise, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe I don't want to I don't have the money coming in, so I
Yeah.
don't want to put it back out. But
Yeah.
is that something that I should be doing?
So this is the thing, right? Everybody's financial situations are a little bit different, right? A lot of people do live paycheck to paycheck. Like, I'm not gonna like shame you for not being prepared for this pandemic, because nobody was prepared for it.
Yeah, yeah,
But when it comes to the question, should I be advertising? 100%, yeah, always, right? And the reason why I say that is for a couple different things. For starters, everybody's home, so everyone's going to be consuming content, and once this blows over, they're going to, like, the thing is, we want to be able to plant the seed in their head, right? So when it's time to reopen, you're the first shop that they're going to think of. And the thing is even if they've never been to your shop, they're going to remember who they saw during this time of quarantine, right?
yeah.
There's a lot of memories that are being created here.
Oh yeah.
A lot of
Well, and
memories.
I think it was, isn't it Tony Robbins that says, remember back to 9/11 and
Yeah,
you specifically remember what you were doing.
exactly.
And the reason for that is because the emotion that was attached to it. And so this time is probably going to be, people are going to remember specifically what was going on, because there is a lot of emotion tied to being shut down and not having zero income
Yeah,
coming in,
but to,
But you do suggest that
yeah,
like my
100%.
shopper, okay.
100%. But this is the thing, right? You can start running ads at $1 a day. Like, I'm talking about like $30 a month, like $60 a month. Like, if you could do 100 or a couple hundred, do it. But
Yeah,
even advertising $1 or $2 a day, you're reaching so much people.
yeah.
And the thing is, right now, and we've
Now,
tested.
is this, sorry,
Oh yeah, no,
is
through
it through like
Facebook.
Facebook or
Yeah, through
Instagram or
Facebook.
both or?
It'll be through Facebook. And
Okay.
the thing with when you advertise on Facebook, your ads will show up on Instagram, because Facebook owns Instagram. It's going to show up on all their partner apps in the App Store. So definitely Facebook. Like, I had one of my barbers ask me, "Hey, should he be advertising on Google at this time?" And I'd be like, "No, absolutely not."
Okay.
The reason why you'd want to advertise on Google is because of people who are actively searching for a
For a
barbershop.
haircut.
Yeah, for a haircut. They're looking for a haircut. But with the whole state, or most states, if not all, are all shut down, there's that activity is very low, extremely
See,
low.
that's so like, here's like, you're getting my brain spinning, right? Because some of the people that had reached out to me were from here in South Dakota.
Mm-hmm.
Now, check this out. In South Dakota, they're not requiring barbershops and salons to shut down.
God bless them.
Right? So even our school,
Mm-hmm.
we have our school here.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't require us to shut down. I shut that down just to make sure that our students were feeling okay. I got a 10-month-old baby, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to put, last thing I want to do is my 10-month-old to get sick and I can't go to the hospital with them.
Yeah.
So, but so here's, like, as you're talking, I'm like thinking through this. And so again, shops aren't forced to shut down. So there still are a lot of barbers and stylists that are working today, right now.
Yeah.
They should probably be advertising more than anybody.
Yeah.
Because now they're going to reach all these people, all these other shops that opted to close. They're going to tap into that market.
Exactly.
So then let's go down that rabbit hole.
Mm-hmm.
what do they advertise? Do they just say, hey, I'm open? Or do they say, hey, I'm practicing all this safe stuff? What do they advertise?
So this is the thing, right? Whenever you're advertising online, um, if this was like 2 months ago, you can advertise, hey, we're open, or hey, click here to book an appointment, whatever. You can say the normal things, right? But if you were to advertise that now during this pandemic, your ads are going to fall to deaf ears because it's going to look like you're not paying attention, like you don't see what's going on
Okay.
outside. So the way I would do it, or the way I would recommend, is just like you mentioned earlier, I would definitely advertise the being transparent about how you clean your tools. The fact that you said it was called Barberside, right? Where you can go and get a certificate that shows that you've been through the training. 100% advertise that you guys do that. I would also advertise safety, social distancing tips, right? There's a lot of graphic designs, or how do I say it? Like flyers that kind of explain it. So like, just recreate it, or just do a video explaining why it's so important.
So, but like how do you do that without coming across like this guy that's taking advantage of the market, right? Like everybody else is practicing safe, measures and shutting down.
This is the thing, right? It's okay, you are open, and if you're still serving customers, how exactly are you serving customers to help prevent coronavirus? Especially in our field, right? You guys are literally right, touching people.
So go ahead.
I mean, I guess this is going to go into, it'll be kind of play into the same way it would be once all the shops are allowed to reopen, because every shop is going to have to work a lot differently than how it used to be. But if you're still open during this pandemic and the virus isn't as, affecting people in your area, right, I still think wear the face mask, right? If you show people that you're wearing a face mask, that you are sanitized, you have gloves, people are begging barbers right now to cut their hair. Yeah. And even though they know the risk. So I think if you were to advertise that you are open and that you're open, the state is allowing you to be open because the state hasn't deemed that it's not a safe environment. And if you can showcase that you do have clean tools, then it's fair for you to say, hey, we're open, we're following all the guidelines. So if you still want a haircut, you can click this link here for more information, or to set up an appointment, or here, walk-in, these are our hours, right? You can still do that.
Yeah. And it's funny, man. You know me, man. Every time we talk, I'm constantly thinking, I'm just like getting bigger and bigger. Yeah. So as we're talking, here's what's coming to my mind, right? Yeah. And this is really big in our school, right? Is safety and infection control. Okay. Yeah. It's actually the only thing that we can do that the state board can regulate. Their primary function is the health, safety, and welfare of the public, right? So when somebody goes to barber school or beauty school, that is a big part of their education. And so when they're out there in the workplace, it's not just like a regular retail store that doesn't understand safety and infection control. We're actually trained at this. Yeah. So I think like we use that to our advantage, right? Like now we're going to start talking about marketing. I'm hoping whoever's listening is paying attention, because that's the road that I want to go now. Like I want people to know, like, hey, you know what? I'm a barber. I've really focused on safety and infection control. In fact, we've already been practicing it for years, and this is what we do, right? Yeah. Barbicide, ironically, they actually tested their product with human coronavirus back in like June or July of last year.
That's crazy.
Right? And they found it to be effective. They got approved from the EPA that they can now put that on their labels. I'm letting all my customers know that, right? Like, hey, I'm this trained professional. For one, I'm licensed. Two, I actually, during this downtime, I went and got Barbicide certified. And these are the steps that we're doing. I think that's the route we go. We actually distance ourselves and emerge out of this as being more respected, right? 100%. Being more of a respected with our the training that we actually have, other than just being a hair cutter, right?
Yeah, because it's all, I think, and we've talked about this before, it's all about how can you separate yourself.
Correct.
Because if we can't, then everyone's just going to look at you for price. Yeah. And this pandemic is the opportunity to really separate yourself.
Correct.
From what everyone else is doing. Because again, for starters, most not just barbers or shop owners, but just most people in business right now are sitting on their hands.
Yeah.
Whereas like you guys got like people like you and me and a bunch of people who are watching this, these guys are active. Like they're on their social medias. They're networking with other people, figuring out what they can do to push the needle in their businesses.
Yeah.
So yeah, man.
So
yeah,
I
I
mean,
think that would be a great way to separate yourself for real.
yeah. So I don't know. Like, so do we come out of this? Do we try to formulate some sort of plan for people to do, or are we just opening up the conversation?
I mean,
And go ahead.
finish. I'm sorry, you can finish what you're saying.
Well, I mean, like, I think this is a good starting point, right? To see how we emerge out of this, and like anything else, you know, like we may look back in 10 years from now and be like, wow, like this really changed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We were, in fact, today we had class. We're doing an online education for our school, and so today's a normal class day. I work from home, first time,
Mm-hmm.
and we were looking at
Welcome to the club. Welcome to the club.
yeah, it felt a little awkward, man. But we were looking at the history of barbering, and
Mm-hmm.
like I'm talking going back all the way to the glacial ages, right? And
Yeah.
as you advance through it, and you saw when things took place, even though maybe it was 100 years apart, you really started seeing some of these small things that happened that actually are huge right now.
You know, now that you mention it, I feel like the barbering industry is definitely going to change. Obviously, we know with people being more conscious, but
Yeah.
like barbers used to be surgeons, right? Like that was like the thing,
Yes.
like medical professionals.
Correct.
And now that you mentioned it, I feel like a lot of people, or I mean, just from our conversation right now, are going to start really positioning or using those older references as a, hey, this is what our field is.
This is what we're about.
Yeah, because I feel I don't know why, but I feel like not recent, but like maybe 5 years ago, being a barber was just like, oh yeah, be a barber, you do what you want, and you just.
Dude, I used to be embarrassed to be a barber, man.
A lot of people were.
You know, it's weird.
Your parents would shame you for it.
Yeah, because people didn't respect. Well,
Yeah.
you know what? I take that back.
I feel like it used to be respected. I feel like it used to be respected.
So yeah, we can go down that all day. Barbering, yeah, because they were one of the top professions. They were like right up there. Again, like you talked about, even
they're medical professionals.
Correct. And so it's constantly evolving.
Mm-hmm.
And again, so certain things came into play back then when it had to branch off, right? And the barbers separated. Just like today, certain things are going to branch off, right? And we could even look at that in terms of services being offered in your shop. So I was around for the 2007, 2008 economy downturn.
Yeah.
Economy is going to be turning down right now, right?
Oh, yeah.
But so here's like what I'm saying. Now that people are more aware, are people going to be getting as many shaves as they were before? These shops that were really focused on shaving for their primary source of income, where they were big shave oriented shops, I got to believe that may diminish a little bit, right?
It might because a lot of people, like, this is the thing. I feel like we gotta like wait and see, because there's so many. I don't want to call them theories.
Yeah, it's all speculation.
It's all speculation. But like the thing is like, when are people going to go to concerts again? Right?
Yeah.
It might be 2 years for people to want to do that. But you're going to have that percentage of people who can't wait to go out. You don't know how many people really took their barbers for granted.
Yeah.
Like, begging, like, oh my God, I wish I can get a. My brother talks to me every day. He's like, I feel like a caveman. So now people might be getting their cuts a lot more often. We don't know.
Yeah.
You know,
there's a big argument, not an argument, but there's a big movement right now of discussion of, should we come out of this and raise our prices $1? Right?
People were saying that, and people.
Yeah, that's a big discussion.
The other part of that discussion, though, I guess let me play devil's advocate, is about a third of the country is filed for unemployment. Right, a lot of people don't have jobs.
Correct.
So, and I feel like every shop is going to definitely took a hit from this.
Correct.
But when everyone reopens, the shops that served a lot of blue collar workers, right?
Correct.
That worked at non-essential businesses or people who had lost jobs due to downsizing, it's going to be hard to justify an increase in price. But again, everybody definitely sees the value of why you need a barber in your community.
Well, then I think exactly. And I
that
think
might increase the
back
price. So
to,
I feel like it can go one or two ways. It's
yeah,
either we can raise our prices, or because of the because of the economy,
yeah.
do we all have to lower our prices and work our way up again? Like,
Yeah, I think there's two parts of that. One is perceived value, right?
mm-hmm,
For your client,
mm-hmm,
is the value there? But
yeah,
two, like if you're just some shop that's like winging it and you're
yeah,
not clean, and you know what I'm saying? Like
yeah,
you should not, definitely don't raise your prices, right? Just
yeah,
because, oh man, I heard, on this interview they said to raise the prices, I'm going up, like you
yeah,
may be going out as well.
mm-hmm,
But if you're a bona fide business and you have distanced yourself from other shops by the procedures that you have in place,
mm-hmm,
maybe you hire a cleaning crew that comes in once a week.
yeah,
You're going through so many tools and cleaning.
mm-hmm,
You now have a very good argument for raising your prices because
yeah,
it has to reflect the services that you're offering. And
mm-hmm,
again, going back to perceived value,
yeah,
a customer that appreciates that, they're going to pay a little bit more,
oh yeah, oh
right?
yeah,
So
mm-hmm,
that's obviously that can go a million different ways, and but one thing that I do that I would just suggest, looking at as we go back into this, and this is just straight up like, I guess, barbering business,
mm-hmm,
um, like the things that me personally that I would look at is, how do I simplify, right?
yeah,
Right now, before this happened, maybe your shop has a lot of different services that you offer. Again,
mm-hmm,
maybe you do a haircut, maybe you do add-on services like
mm-hmm,
shaves or whatever that is, right?
yeah,
The possibilities are endless. Those add-on things, or things that you were starting to expand into, may not be as desired when things resume, right?
yeah,
Like you said, guys are hurting.
mm-hmm,
They may not want to opt in for all these additional
yeah.
services. I don't know,
and,
but
and another thing to add to that is, like, the guys who, right, the guys who who get haircuts like every week, like the guys who are going out partying, going out to
yeah,
clubs,
yeah,
right? It's now the club scene. Are people going to want to go to clubs as much anymore after
yeah,
all this?
yeah.
Like, it's all speculation. We
Oh,
don't.
dude, yeah, yeah.
But those clients who used to go, because I know those guys. Like
Oh, yeah.
my brother,
Oh,
for example, he needs to get a lineup every week because he's
yeah,
going out. And
yeah. I used to be one of them, man.
you know.
Every Thursday, man. Every Thursday, I would get cleaned up and I'll be gone until
Yeah.
Tuesday.
Yep. Another thing too, and another thing we can speculate about is, like, a lot of people are trying to cut their hair themselves, and
Yeah,
again, they're just seeing how valuable a barber really is, because it's like,
yeah.
holy crap.
Oh, yeah. Did you see that article? I think it was the CEO of Walmart,
Hmm.
and he was talking about the levels that they've seen sales going.
Mm.
Like, remember, it was number one was like toilet paper
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
water, whatever it was, and then it trickled. And big enough for people to notice, hair cutting tools, right? Clippers
Yes.
and hair dye
Mm.
was up there, like on the third or fourth level of what these people are finding that's important to them.
Hmm.
That's something to me that really stands out, right? It's like,
Yeah, it shows how important you guys are,
correct, correct.
and it's
Yeah,
like, one thing I looked at is, you know, a barbershop. I can't say it's not essential, because it does so much for the spirit.
yeah,
Like, it does a lot for the spirit. Like,
yeah,
people, if they see that they're not shaven,
yeah,
and their hair is all a mess, they get depressed. Like,
yeah,
they get
yeah,
depressed. Like, so I
yeah,
know people who just get haircuts because they love the feeling they get
yeah.
from it. And
Feel
it's
like you
like,
lost a little bit of weight.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
you feel good. And when you feel good, you tend to do better in all things that you do. So
yeah,
it's crazy, like, what's deemed essential and what's deemed non-essential. But
yeah,
I mean, it's tough. Like, one thing I wonder is how will marketing change? Like,
yeah,
will marketing change? And to be honest, I feel like yes and no. I feel like, just like what you mentioned before, is how you position yourself as being a clean barbershop. A lot of customers actually care about that. If you go
yeah,
back, and I'm sure if you go back and read some of your reviews that people leave about your shop, or just about some shops in general,
mhm,
if it's a clean shop, they'll mention it. And
yeah,
this was before COVID-19. This was before all that. So people were already looking at how clean a shop was,
yeah,
but now they're going to be looking at a lot more with a
yeah,
magnifying glass.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they're gonna be paying attention a little bit more. That's for
Hmm.
sure, man. you know?
Yeah.
Now, so you talked about marketing.
Hmm.
Let's say next month we're all allowed to go back to work.
Hmm.
Where do you kind of see that going from here? Like how, like, I know you said we can advertise while things are shut down,
Yeah.
but how do you see us advertising when things resume back to normal? Do you
So
think it is?
I feel like there's a lot of things that are going to change with like if we are able to open next month, right? For starters, what it costs to advertise, a month or like two before all this, I feel like advertising is going to be a lot cheaper. As in, you're going to be able to reach a lot more people for a couple of different reasons. For starters, more people, like because of this shutdown, a lot more people are on Instagram, on Facebook, and all social media, and social media activity definitely jumped. So once we're able to go out again, yeah, that activity might go down, but a lot more people are just going to be so used to being on Instagram all the time. They're going to be so
Yeah,
used to being on Facebook. So
yeah,
your ads are going to be able to reach a lot more people just based
yeah,
on the activity alone. The other thing that I'm looking at is, again, a lot of shops aren't going to survive this. If we open up next month, it just means there's still going to be shops that aren't going to be able to recover from this.
yeah.
So what that tells me is that means less competition in the market,
Uh-huh.
less competition. So like if like your cost to reach people is definitely going to be a lot cheaper. I feel like your messaging should definitely change, right? Me personally, when with all the clients and people I've worked with and consulted with, the shops that do very well are professional shops.
Yeah,
So if you're professional, like you can have an urban shop and still be professional and
yeah.
still show that you have a clean shop, clean tools, a great team. But if you can provide an experience, I feel like you'll always win in the marketing game if you can
You know what?
provide an experience to the customer.
It's kind of like, I don't know if say ironic or just kind of something to take note of. I think like in times like what we're experiencing right now when people are hurting
Hmm.
and maybe the money's, I know specifically for me, my shop is bringing in $0, right?
Hmm.
Zero.
Yeah.
The last thing on my mind right now is marketing.
Hmm.
But the truth of it is that I probably actually should be marketing.
You know what you should do, and either you do it or have a barber in your shop do it. And anyone watching this, if you haven't done it, do it. Um, Again, just like we talked about, a lot of people are going to remember what they were doing while they were in quarantine or what things they were trying, because a lot of people are now buying, they're buying a lot of like new video games and just
Yeah.
trying a lot, they're trying new hobbies and just trying to rediscover themselves, which is great. Again, but what you mentioned was one of the top three products we bought were clippers. So what does this mean? A lot of people are now trying to cut their own hair. What does that also mean? People are looking on YouTube, on Instagram, how to cut my own hair. Why
Yeah.
not be the barber in your community who teaches people how to cut their hair? You're not asking for any money. You're giving them straight value, free content, and saying, hey guys, hey, this is Donnie Joseph with Central City Barber Shop, or even with South Dakota Barber College. I'm going
Yeah.
to show you guys exactly how to cut your hair if you wanted
Yeah.
to give yourself whatever kind of look. And you
Yeah.
show that.
Yeah.
And people are going to remember it was you who taught them. And
Yeah.
they're going to remember as soon as this blows over, they're not going to want to cut their hair again.
Yeah,
Like people just
exactly.
don't have the time. And it's a different experience going to the shop. People miss that feeling. But
Oh,
again, they're going to remember who taught them when they needed help the most.
yeah,
Right?
exactly.
People are like, just like you said, they're buying those clippers. They went out to Walmart
Yeah.
and went through the COVID-19,
Yeah. Yeah.
to
Yeah.
get to
Masked
that,
up.
yeah,
Yeah.
with a mask, and they had to
Yeah.
go through these aisles, these
Six,
one-way
6 feet
aisles,
away.
yeah, and all just to get these clippers. And now they got the clippers, and then now they're like, what the hell do I do?
Yeah. Yeah. They're
Be the first,
researching right now. They're
be the
looking up
person
those
that they
YouTube
find.
videos. Yeah. That's really good advice, man.
Yeah, man. I think everyone should. I think if you're every barber in your community, if you're doing that, that's how you stand out from everybody. That's how you take leadership. Hey, I
Yeah.
know you guys are at home right now, stuck, and I know a lot of you guys want to get haircuts, but you can't. But let me see how I can help you from here.
You know what's
That's
kind
how
of
you're
funny?
gonna take it.
You're mentioning that. I don't know if do you know who Jocko Willink is?
No, I'm not familiar.
So he's wrote a bunch of New York Times best-selling books.
Hmm.
He was a Navy SEAL that was made
Oh,
famous.
he's the guy who got me waking up at like 4 or 5 in the morning. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that
So
guy's that
so
guy's
he's legit, man. I read a lot of his books. I went to see him speak live.
really.
You know, follow him on Instagram.
Hmm.
Um, when I went to see him speak live, he talked about everybody's asking about his haircut, and And he's like, I actually cut my own hair. And he described how he cut his own hair.
Mhm.
Well, a few weeks ago, I'm watching his feed, and he's giving himself a haircut. He's giving himself this Jocko haircut. He's showing everybody how he cuts his hair.
Yeah.
And he has like this, you know, his wall clipper,
Mhm.
and you know, he's doing his haircut. And he's like sitting on the toilet, you know,
Mhm.
showing what guard he's using and how he's
Mhm.
doing it. And then he put hashtag tighten it up.
Mhm.
And within like 3 or 4 days, he was just posting tons and tons and tons of all these different guys tighten it up, tighten it up. All these people are
Wow.
cutting hair at home. And I
Yeah.
was like, man, you got to respect the dude. I was like, man, here you're taking all this business away from us, but you got
Yeah.
to respect the hustle.
But then like anyone could do that, right? If
Yeah.
like for example, if you're in Napa Valley, you can just use that term as like as part of the hat if you're trying to reach people locally, right? Because these are people who are going to go to your shop anyway. I
Yeah.
will try to make some. I'll try to be creative, right? All barbers are creative; just it's in their blood. So I'm
Yeah.
sure you guys can come up with a really cool name to add to a hashtag, and then you get on Instagram Live. Same thing that he did, right? You don't need to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
But I think
Yeah.
just popping a YouTube video and just putting videos out there, just showing how to cut, how to shave,
Yeah.
things like that. Because a lot of people are like,
Deliver value.
yeah,
Yeah.
this is,
Deliver value.
and people are
Yeah,
gonna
man.
remember that. People are
Yeah, I
gonna
agree,
remember.
man. And I think this was a good starting point, man, of a conversation, and hopefully, you
Yeah,
know,
man,
some of the people that are watching get some value from it, you know.
100%. I'm sure they
And I
will.
would say that anybody watching that wants to reach out to me personally,
Mhm.
whether it's through you or whatever it is,
Mhm.
I'm available. You know, you can
Yeah,
shoot me.
if someone wants to reach out, where can they find you? Do they go to your barber college Instagram, or like what how
Yeah, so you could do the Barber College Instagram. It's just at South Dakota Barber College.
hmm
We just started it, as you know. We just opened that school, so
Yeah.
it's content still building up. But nevertheless, you know, you can send me a message if you have any questions or even want to collaborate, whatever it is. I don't care. I talk to tons of people on there all day long, so
Yeah.
always there to help. You know,
Nice. And
and
anyone
likewise.
Mhm.
So if we share this on our social media
Mhm.
and somebody wants to reach out to you, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
Yeah, so the best way I would say for starters, definitely join our Facebook group, Barbers Hangout. I'll have a link on here too, so you guys can access that. That's where you'll find other content similar to this. And on there you can click a form and you'll be able to get in contact with me if you want. As of right now, during this time off that we have, what we're doing is we're getting on calls like this, giving free consultations, offering free marketing support, as in like we'll share different strategies and trainings, really to help you guys position yourselves for success when you are allowed to reopen. So
Good.
that's our way of giving back is with
Yeah.
this group, and this really we're offering free marketing support to any
Yeah.
barber or shop owner who needs it to kind of help push the needles in their business. So definitely
Yeah.
join that group. And again, you're gonna find a lot of content like this. But yeah, I think that's about it. Donnie, did you? I guess Donnie, I want to ask you something.
Yeah.
Maybe that you can kind of just so some people can leave with some more value is. I guess if you had to give advice to anybody who was just thinking about, you know what, should I go to barber school, or like if someone who's aspiring to be a barber,
Correct.
right? What would, and I feel like it would be great to hear it from you as
Yeah.
you're an educator, you run a school and you run a shop, so you've touched all
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
parts of this industry.
Yeah.
So someone who's trying to get in and they're not sure, what would be the best advice that you would give them?
So that's actually a great question, man, because I have this conversation all day long with people that are calling in to that are interested in joining school.
Mhm.
Um, you know, the few things so first, let me just back it up, right? Let me just say
Mhm.
this, and this is my own personal take on it, and maybe some webinars that I've sat in on or different people. But I really believe that that our profession is going to continue to grow, right? We see this for a few reasons. One, most people that have went to college, myself included, 4-year university,
Mhm.
we're not using our degrees,
Put me in that group. I'm in there
right?
too,
Like you're
man.
not using your degree to
Nope.
make the level of I can't use what I went to school for, and I'm still paying off my school loans.
Yeah.
I can't use that and make as much money as I could as a barber, right? So that's just that, right? We're starting to see these skilled trades really emerge, right?
Mm-hmm.
Aside from that, look at, like, let's say, look at technology-based business. It's taking so many jobs away. How many businesses have closed in the last 5-10 years as technologies developed, right?
Yep.
Even during the coronavirus, look at all these businesses that are folding
Yeah.
because Amazon can deliver, you know, whatever it is that you need. You don't even need to go to the store anymore.
Yeah.
But a haircut, you're always going to have to go get a haircut for the most part, right? And so that being said, I think also the way that technology's sort of taken away the personalization from everything, and it's kind of ties into what we're talking about, social distancing and like just general human interaction. People are craving genuine interaction, right? Back in the day, or you know, even the last 10 years or whatever, you watch the news and it's all this like bang, 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 quick video clips, whatever. That stuff isn't appealing to anybody anymore, right? What do people do? They listen to podcasts.
Yeah.
A podcast is like an hour long or 30 minutes long of a one-on-one and getting this good content. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because I think it goes back into the needs of people, and they want this, they're craving this like slowed down interaction in such a fast-paced world, right? So what do you do from here if you want to become a barber? Well, I think you look at, like, you got to look at it as any other business, and you say, hey, what is my return on my investment, right? What if I go down this path, what are my options there, right? And if I'm going to do it, how do I do it to where, one, I can enjoy it, and two, I can make a lot of money doing it, right? Because if you want to do it as a hobby, then go cut hair down at the old folks home for free, and which is nothing wrong with that. There's a lot of people that do that. But if you are going to do it and you are going to, you want to make it your profession, then you got to look at it as a professional, right? And there's some certain characteristics that are in line with being successful. And I'm saying that as somebody that got into it, that when I first started, I didn't appreciate all of that, right? I was probably the exact opposite of the person that I am right now. And I had to go through all those struggles and had to go through all those changes. The guy that trained me probably should have fired me many times over. Like I said, Thursday night, I had a thing in my appointment. This is how big of a loser I was, right? So when's the busiest day in the shop? Fridays, Saturdays, right? Well, I was DJing Fridays and Thursdays, Fridays and Saturdays. So I made an agreement with our shop owner, which was a busy shop, that I didn't even work Fridays and Saturdays. Because I wanted to go out and party, man. Like I was so on top of my game cutting hair. And in our town, it was like the first young dude that was cutting hair in our town. And so, you know, I was young, cocky, and just, you know, making a lot of money. And I was like, man, I'm not working on Fridays and Saturdays. You know, now I work, I think 7 days. It's Saturday right now, and I'm working, right, from home. It's just funny, man. You got to go through the evolution. And the truth is, the people that get it, they're going to distance themselves, and they're going to be the guys that reach out to you or reach out to me. And then there's going to be the other ones that need a little bit more time to really get smacked in the face and until they get tired of their own stuff and say, you know what, man, I'm ready to take this profession serious. And when they get to that point, sky's the limit, man.
Oh yeah.
So
100%.
So hopefully it wasn't more than what you asked for, but
no, I think people are definitely gonna see value from that. Appreciate you sharing that, man. So I think we can wrap it up here. Donnie, thanks so much for getting on a call like this. I'm going to share, guys, again, if you're watching this and you're not in the group, join the Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/barbers hangout. There you'll be able to get access to me and my team, as well as see some of the videos that Donnie has shared, some of the content from him. And again, if you're interested in his school, definitely check it out on Instagram. They're doing, I spoke with their class a couple weeks ago, man, and you got a great team of kids up there, man.
We got a good crew, man. We got a good crew.
Can't wait to see how they all turn out.
Oh yeah,
for sure, man.
Hey, Mike, thank you. Much appreciated, man. It's always good, man. So thank you.
All right, guys. I'll see you on the other side.